folks, this is Uso of Uso-Gaming, and I would like to welcome you to a discussion roundtable that myself and some friends over at G.A.M.E.R, that's abbreviated as for Gaming, Anime, Memes, Entertainment, and Research. Um, just wanted to welcome you to our discussion roundtable, and what we're doing is we're basically discussing how we felt about different showcases that were shown at E3 this year, and let's just if you want to leave some comments down below, subscribe, um, like the video, it all helps. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to segment the video. So each showcase is going to have its own video. That way it's also easier to load up in the process. And enjoy. Hello folks, this is Uso of Uso Gaming, here with a few of my friends at G.A.M.E.R on Facebook. And we just wanted to talk a little bit about our reactions to some of the conferences that were at E3 today. A few of the things that stood out really grabbed our attention, and a few of the things that kind of bothered us. So, Grizzly, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm Grizzly. I'm just here. Guess we're here part of this conversation. I'm kind of excited to talk about all the crazy things we saw at E3. Definitely looking forward to this, and I don't know if there's anything I'm more excited than the other. Obviously, there were a few big announcements, but let's more on that later. I'm gonna toss it over to Static.
Well, what's up, y'all? This is Statics. I'm glad to be here on the G.A.M.E.R podcast and Uso's a host. If you didn't know, I make videos on YouTube. I make Let's Plays, montage videos, and much more stuff coming out to the future. And I'm going to pass it over to Walt.
Yo, I'm a friend on G.A.M.E.R, and I'm kind of just here to give my opinion on stuff. And yeah.
Alright, so first thing that we'll talk about today is the Bethesda conference, or actually what Bethesda decided to do before the conference. So about a week prior to E3, there was a countdown that showed up on Bethesda's site, and it kind of gave it away a little bit when it was fallout.bethesda.com, so that kind of stuck out a little bit. And we didn't know if there was the rumored Fallout 4, or it could have been another kind of like spin-off series like New Vegas was. My personal opinion regarding it is that I am overjoyed and excited with the fact that it is taking place in Boston, Massachusetts, a city that I frequent quite often. Just wanted to see, what was your idea regarding Fallout, Grizzly?
I'm super excited. I was really surprised that they announced it was coming out this year. I was talking to a buddy of mine last night actually, and he was surprised that they announced it was coming out this year. I think there's a lot to look forward to. They announced all kinds of cool features, like new things, and they're really going super deep into this. Like the house building, like you build your own house, which that's a first for me.
Yeah, I gotta say that house building thing seemed pretty cool. And the fact that you say new features, it's more or less the fact that your dog companion acts like a dog and not like, a push on action button kind of thing.
Yeah,
so that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and then they're talking about adding stuff to the Pip-Boy, like being able to play games in a game.
I saw that in the worldwide trailer thing, where it showed him playing a game on his Pip-Boy. That's pretty hilarious.
It was like some kind of like Donkey Kong-esque, or like original Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty stoked. But what do you guys think?
I haven't really played much of the Fallout series. I mean, I have played the third game, and I was pretty intimidated by how realistic it was. But after seeing the trailer for Fallout 4 and all these features, like you said, that were coming out as like modding and stuff, I am pretty interested. And plus, too, is in Boston, and I have been to Boston a few times when I was up in the state of Maine.
Main DLC. That's what I want. No, I mean the Fallout 4 thing is really awesome. I definitely like their presentation and everything like that. Um, I feel like they hired several of the modders that used to do those, because I noticed that some of the features that they had were originally mods in New Vegas, and they are no longer worked on. Like those mods went
That is
inactive.
actually that's pretty interesting to bring up. So that brings the whole thing to the table. Did they hire modders from the actual community to work on this game? That's pretty interesting.
It's already well known that they do it for Skyrim.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they hired that one guy who did the entire expansion and stuff like that. They I mean, Bethesda's HR department pretty much, like, that's what the modding community is for video games for them. Like, I heard that, like, you have to, when you go to interview at Bethesda, it's like, what games did you mod? Can we see your mods? Because that's one of their ways that they see, like, what work you've done.
All right. So moving along here, a day, and it seemed like Bethesda was running this whole early streak, because a day before their actual conference, they accidentally streamed on Twitch some content, and at first, before it was known, it appeared to be Dishonored 2, which we later found out it was. And I'm not sure if anyone played the first one here, but I know that it's really interesting, kind of like alternate reality, where it's kind of futuristic technology, but it's also taking place towards, like, I don't want to say Victorian era, but like an older era time period. And the stealth, there's a few videos like on YouTube where people are going in and just doing full on stealth like missions throughout the entire game. But what was your guys' reaction regarding Dishonored 2? Have you played the first one, or are you looking to start it?
I'm looking to start it, the first one. I have it downloaded actually on my Xbox 360 when they had the Games for Gold sale. I've seen the trailer for Dishonored 2, and it looks pretty amazing. I think I'm interested in playing it because I played Assassin's Creed before, and I want to try out another stealthy game. I heard some things from friends who were saying that the original game was pretty short, but I have to play it to give my final opinion on it.
Well, it's cheap right now on Steam.
Steam summer sale.
Shameless PC Master Race slide there.
Yeah.
I mean, I played the first one. I loved it. It was definitely very good. As far as the leak goes, though, that was definitely an accident, at least from what I can find. That was a tech messing up, and they were testing to make sure that everything was set up for E3, because all of those, because that's the same stage that they use for all the conferences. They just do a whole bunch of swapping out from what I've seen. So, like, all the streams and everything like that, it doesn't matter what if you're at E3 or whatever, you're using the same gear basically to stream it.
I actually never played the first Dishonored, but I heard a lot of good things about it. I always wanted to play it, but like Walt said, I'll probably end up picking it up thanks to Steam. All hail Valve and Steam for their pocket, just their wallet destroyability.
Gabe Newell, the Lord and Savior.
Yes. All hail.
Oh hell.
Was there anything else that stood out to you guys at the Bethesda conference?
Doom, actually.
Doom? Yeah, I'd just say that Doom was a pretty good broadcast, especially with that final sequence there where he goes and he pulls the chainsaw out, and then it's just
awesome.
Now, even though that I love the game, and I was calling back to nostalgia, I pointed this out during our reaction video during the conference the other day with Static and Walt here, is when he goes to use the chainsaw on the chains that are binding the gate, he doesn't go straight down to cut the chain. It looks like they use the same animation as he would when he's cutting down an enemy. So he's cutting the gate at a diagonal. So he's cutting through at least two solid metal bars while in the process of cutting this chain, and it's like that is gonna ruin that chainsaw. You know, like, did anybody else notice that animation error, or was it just because I pointed it out? Like people jumped on it after.
I did not notice that when I was watching that playthrough.
Oh
I
my
have to go back and
goodness.
watch it now.
Yeah, it stood out for me for a second. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, I
Check it out.
noticed that too.
But other than that, I mean, it's great to have another Doom game come in, and it's, you know, especially with that last scene, it was gameplay footage, you know. That's what it seems like we're missing a lot out the previous E3s. It was that we had a lack of gameplay footage, and I would say this year it seemed like we actually had quite a bit of gameplay footage. It seemed almost every game had some form of gameplay footage going on, so it was pretty cool.
Well, I
Indeed.
mean, last year's E3 was definitely not good. I mean, well, actually, last year just in general was horribly crappy for gaming in general on all
Oh, yeah.
fronts. So
Yeah,
I
definitely.
feel like all the companies are basically pulled out all the stops and they're like, you know, crap, like, you know, we're not doing as good as we need to.
Well, they did say that there was a slump in game sales, so and it was kind of obvious considering that one thing that bugged me, and later on we'll point out a certain game that did this, is that the games that were originally intended for release within the early months of the console, there were quite a few of them that all got pushed back, and then some of them got pushed back, you know, years later, and it's like, you should just put a TBA on there if it's not ready. It's just plain and simple, leave it as is. That way you don't take off the fan community. But anyways, moving on to Microsoft.
Oh, hold on. One game that I do want to bring up before
Okay.
we move on to that, and that's Re-Core, which seems like more of a Borderlands. It seems like Gage. To be honest, I thought it was like another Metroid game, but with robots, and apparently like all the robots are like dogs or whatever, and it seems pretty interesting. I'm just hoping it doesn't turn out into something else, kind of like Order 1866 did, where it was like everyone's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's like a, you know, humans versus like steampunk humans versus werewolves, and then it turned into this completely other game, pretty much. So I just hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, sometimes a little change is good, but then when you change a game too much from originally what was announced, you kind of turn off the fan base, and people start selling your copies, and then they'll do reviews saying this game isn't anything like it was originally retailed as. So it's like you really got to be careful when it comes to doing your advertising, and for when it comes to making changes to a game. It's good to add some changes, it's good to make some changes, but you don't want to sit there and change a game overall that's a completely different being altogether at the end, because the only time you want to do that is when your game had bad rep to begin with, because then clearly it needs help. But I mean, the Order 1886 had a good following. You know, there was a good group of people that really loved the game and they wanted to get it. But then it, you know, like you point out, it changed over time, and it didn't end up coming out the way that it was originally retailed.
I think it's just mostly that they were too tight-lipped about it. Like they wouldn't give details, so basically people were forced to draw conclusions about it before the details were announced. And then when people, like for me, when I first saw that original announcement trailer last year, actually, so was it last year or the year before? I can't remember when it was first announced. Either
It was
way,
the year before then.
Year before.
It was several years ago.
yeah, like the first announcement trailer, like it looked like Left 4 Dead, but with werewolves and steampunk humans. Like, you know, that's what it said to me. So it, you know, that's another thing that I think a lot of companies are starting to tune into as far as marketing goes and video games, is making sure that they're like very clear on, like, you know, is this a mobile game, or is this mostly a cinematic game or RPG, that type of thing.
I will say that there's some games like The Order that people were ecstatic to play. I think hype tends to kill games as well. It's when you market a game, you know, when you market it, like, don't come up with trailers and stuff, and then delays, and everything else, and then when people play your game and it's not like what they're expecting to be, and it kind of turns people off. Like there were games that happened with Watch Dogs, for example. People were very hyped about that from like a couple years ago, and then when the game came out, on the shelves and we played it, it wasn't what people thought. It wasn't what people thought it was gonna be. It was just like, oh, I played this type of game before.
It was GTA, but with hacking.
Right.
All right, so just gonna move us along a little bit. Microsoft conference. So, two things stood out to me a lot. The first one being Minecraft on HoloLens. So, I want to point one thing out. A lot of people get HoloLens mixed up with virtual reality. HoloLens is actually augmented reality. It takes your environment that's around you, and then it puts the game or subject in front of you in your environment. So that's augmented reality. Virtual reality completely replaces your perception. So it's two total different things. But the HoloLens, a piece of amazing equipment, and certainly it seems like one of the most advanced augmented reality headsets that are out there right now. And the fact that they took the guy took Minecraft and was able to like change different things on the map and look at different areas and be able to actually go into somebody's game and then see their character, down there. He would zoom in and he could see the character inside the castle. So I thought that was pretty cool. What do you guys think the HoloLens will provide to Xbox One?
That is pretty interesting.
Looks like some of the demos that they show are like little fighter characters and stuff fighting on top of a tabletop right in front of a person, and like when you're playing around you can run over and like jump onto the other player you're fighting against and like use them as the actual stage. So I thought that was pretty funny when I saw that demo.
Yeah, I think I know it's off topic just a little bit, but there was this one game I used to play on the PlayStation. The PlayStation 3, it had a camera setup. It was called the Eye of Judgment. And when it's
pretty cool.
It was a card game when you had the camera facing down at the table. You put a card in, and the character would like come to life. As far as like that working for like the Xbox One, I could probably see some competition games coming like that in the future.
Oh, it would work really good. The TGC games, like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, you name it. They have another new one now called like Card Fighter Vanguard, things like that. Oh, those can actually work really good with that. I didn't even think of that.
So much it can do.
Yeah, I know. Like that, they're really opening the basis right there, and the value behind that technology is immense, even though that some people might not realize it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't really care the gaming aspects for it. I care about it for everything else. You can do so much with everything else.
Yeah,
I can think of like 15 different business ideas I could take HoloLens with, and just like I could actually sell it as a product, like an app or something like that.
I was gonna say, because when we were watching it, you brought up the fact, you're like, holy shit, I didn't know Tony Stark arrived.
Yeah,
missed that part.
Not wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's exactly like that. If anybody watches Iron Man and they see Tony Stark bring up the virtual displays in front of him where he can access control panels and stuff like that and create designs right in the thin of air, augmented reality is exactly that. And instead of just having a giant, like emitters or whatever in your room, you're wearing the emitter on your face. So that's pretty cool.
Well, as far as the emitters go, like, I think it's, in order to get like a touch screen type of thing like we see in Iron Man, you're gonna have to combine the technologies, like have it like in the wall or whatever.
Actually,
or
the
it's gonna have to be in your hand.
HoloLens, the way that it's created is that it registers the depth of your hand as it's reaching towards something. So Basically, because they have, I think it's like 3 different lenses in the, I'm gonna call them goggles. They have 3 different lenses in those goggles, and what it does is it registers the depth of field between your hand and the virtual display. So they're already thinking ahead with that in mind.
Oh, then I stand corrected. Yeah, then you know the only thing I would do is just try to make them smaller or look better.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a little clunky for now, but I mean, compared to any other augmented reality tech out at the moment, they're ahead of the game, and part of the reason is because it's being done by Microsoft. So yeah, that really puts them out there. But anyways, enough about the HoloLens.
Hold on a sec. Hey, Grizzly, is there anything you want to say?
Not. I mean, I think you guys covered all the bases. I really didn't get a chance to look at the HoloLens stuff. I was kind of late.
You
I kind of
are
late
missing out.
I've seen since then. I caught a video about it, but like I missed all of the heavy stuff, like the actual coverage of it. So what I know is just like a little bit that I saw the other day, like the recap.
You were gonna watch the Minecraft HoloLens demo afterwards. Just saying.
Yeah, that's what I watched. I watched part of that. I just didn't finish it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was what I saw. I was definitely impressed.
But yeah, I mean, like, there's that other one. I think it's like called Couch Fighters or something like that, or Tabletop Fighters. That's the other one where it had like 2 players fighting against each other, and they'll use each other as like the terrain for the game. It's pretty funny.
Oh wow.
So, but second thing that stood out to me the most, backwards fucking compatibility.
Yes.
Here we go. Can I take the floor with this one?
We have been waiting for this stuff, and it just seemed like every year the damn companies have been like, you guys don't want it. You guys don't want it.
And they hit us with the remasters.
Yeah, no, they're like, we're gonna give you the remaster, the redux, the rendition, the game of the year, the revamp, you know, all these new editions of old games. And it's like not much really changed except for maybe a few texture patterns, and that's it. And it's like you're paying full price for an older game that they barely did any work on, and that kind of teased me off, because like I personally, I'm not gonna toss in like a full price for a game that I owned, beat multiple times in the past, and later on it's just going to become useless, because then when it comes down to the collector value of the original games is going to be a hell of a lot higher than it is for these remastered redux ones, because nobody's going to give a damn about those.
Well, to be fair, there's a lot more work that goes into remastered editions, because the processors changed. Remember that. So for backwards compatibility, the problem is that the original Xbox 360 and like the original Xbox and everything like that, they're all running on older processors, and there used to be like 2 different processor types. So in order to, and this is probably the reason why they're moving to Windows 10 on the Xbox, is because it just makes it easier to do backwards compatibility.
Very true. With that in mind, I guess that means that Sony is benching full force on their current subscription way, hoping that people want to play PS3 games by going through that subscription process, which I don't know how well is going to stand up to Microsoft's, backwards compatibility, though.
I don't think it will. It just,
a very good point. It might not.
Do you want to play like, here, let me pay $20 for one day for a game that I used to have, as opposed to go pay $5 for a used copy and have it forever again? Like,
Microsoft.
Like that's. It's clear that Microsoft, like Sony, won the initial outburst of this console war, but Microsoft is taking all the steps to not only make up the ground, but take the lead and then run away with it.
And one thing that I want to point out is that Phil Spencer said that this year they were going to focus on games, and they did just that.
Yeah.
They focused on what the fan base wanted, and they delivered this year, which is why I'm a little surprised that all these people, all these reviewers are saying that Sony came out on top, and we'll discuss a little bit more about that later on. But yeah, I
I
was
don't
just a little
honestly
caught off
believe.
guard.
I don't honestly believe the Xbox. I personally believe the person who came out on top was actually the gamers this year, not any of the not any of the companies.
Can I make one comment real quick about the backwards compatibility? What they did say that during the press conference that there were beta testing is for the Xbox preview members, and they're gonna be ones that testing these around 20 games, and then they said that this backwards compatibility is gonna come out in the holidays, and I did some research and they said it was gonna come out in autumn, and they said that the games that are coming out will be 100 games on release, and there will be more to do so in the as the months pass by. I do want to mention that when they did announce that they did take shots at Sony when they did say it doesn't cost a thing, it's free. Because I know we talked about the PlayStation Now and their subscription service that I think is ass to having to pay a monthly subscription just to pay games that you have already played. And the thing is that you're streaming them. And the cool thing about this Xbox backwards compatibility on Xbox One is you can play your games through a physical disc, or you can, if you already downloaded them on your 360, they'll be already ready to download on your Xbox One hard drive. And I think that when they were saying that, everybody was like, "Oh yes, this is what we've been waiting for." But it should have been there when the console released, and it's a win. But like, I mean, sorry, as Walt said, this is a big one for us gamers.
All right,
Just ruining our secret identities out here.
Oh yeah, so totally secret.
I can edit that.
Don't worry, it's okay. We'll fix it in editing.
We'll fix it in editing. Bloopers.
So, anyways, what were the other things that stood out at Microsoft's conference, you guys?
They did talk about the Xbox Elite controller.
Yeah, that was an interesting peripheral, and it's got a lot more. It's got the paddles on the back, which is completely new. And then they redid the D-pad on there, so it wasn't like a traditional D-pad, so that was kind of interesting.
But that pricing, though.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, it's packaged with something else as well.
Oh, man.
It's coming packaged with the Oculus Rift.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's not just $150 for the controller. It's $150 for the controller and the Oculus Rift.
I guess I must have read a wrong article.
Well, that's what I got from the conference, at least, unless I misheard them.
Well, what I thought it was is that the partnership that Microsoft and Oculus have means that every Oculus that is shipped comes with a controller. So I didn't know. Yeah.
Okay, then
we'll have to double check that.
Yeah.
But other than the new Xbox One Elite controller, I know that they didn't focus a lot on exclusives, which is pretty good considering that the word exclusive over the couple of years has seemed a very vague, like slightly veiled term used at these conferences, since usually just means that the game will come out maybe a month earlier than it does on the other systems. But was there anything other regarding Microsoft that stood out just a little bit more, or because I have to say though, the partnership at least between Oculus and Microsoft was pretty big, and they announced that I think like it was less than a week before E3 when they announced that, so that was pretty amazing.
Part of my notes, the next big thing that they did talk about was Fallout 4, is that it's coming with mod support.
Yep.
Can you clarify a little bit more about that?
You want me to?
Well, I wish you can do that, Walt. I'm still on consoles.
Alright, so basically what's happening is with the Xbox, they're they're basically trying to put on a Windows 10 onto it, and so that what that means is that for a lot of people, it opens up the world of modding to them because now it's almost basically a PC. Um, of course, there's going to be restrictions for the mods that are going to be allowed on and stuff like that. None of special time mods or those really high detail res. Those modders who know what I'm talking about already know what I'm basically hinting at, and just to make sure that this remains clean. That's there's some mods that they're not going to allow, but for the most part, they're pretty much allowing free reign on the mods.
So that means that the Xbox community gets to finally join the master race in the modding highlight. But so the next conference I want to talk about is EA.
We have to mention the games that they did mention.
they did mention games.
Well,
all right. Well, that's why I was asking earlier.
Okay, I guess I'll do that part. Well, they talked about Halo 5 Guardians, and they showed the campaign, and one of the characters, Buck, if you remember from Halo 3 ODST, he was one of the ODST members, and now he's part of the Spartans, which was pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that. As far as multiplayer, they announced this new mode, which is called Warzone, and pretty much this is 12 players against 12. And on top of the fight, there are going to be enemies to fight, and the maps are 4 times as huge than your regular, your maps you would, fight people in Halo. And
that actually sounds pretty cool.
I know. And they did talk about the Forza Motorsport 6, and they brought the giant car from, I don't know how much money, Walt said, how much money they paid just to bring a car down. They say, hey guys, here's our car, and we're announcing Forza Motorsport 6. They did mention Rare Replay. They also mentioned the Gears of War Ultimate Edition is coming out in August, and I think they end the press conference with Gears of War 4.
You're forgetting about the Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, Sea of Thieves video game as well.
I don't know if they're a third party or not for sure.
That actually looked pretty cool, and even though that I'm not, pretty much, I'm not a big fan regarding cartoony type games anymore. Like WoW was like my last cartoony looking game, and I have to say though, I'm actually pretty interested in doing it, especially because you can, steer a pirate ship around and then have your friends man the cannons and stuff.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
It's like the only other game that currently has that is Arcade, which is really good, but like the problem that Arcade had was that it just put a little too much favoritism on the paid subscribers, whereas the people that were free to play just pretty much got left out in the wind. But I'd like to see where they go with this game, Sea of Thieves, and see how that pans out.
I'm looking forward to that. I know one game that Walt is not interested in is, or he's gonna attack his Cuphead.
Oh yeah, lawsuit pending, as I call it.
Lawsuit pending.
Wait, what was it?
Because
why? What?
It's called Cuphead, and it's basically like either Disney's financing it or Disney hasn't noticed yet. And at this point, I'm thinking Disney is in some part financing it because it's like deliberately ripping off of scenes from like various old Mickey Mouse films and stuff like that.
Like the animation,
right.
Like it's exactly like your old Disney cartoons from like the 30s and 40s.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Alright folks, this is Uso, and I'd like to thank everybody for joining and watching. This is the first segment. I will have the second segment coming up. It'll be the next couple showcases that they have. this following week. I'll be working at a convention starting tomorrow, and that's going to go through Sunday. And I got a project that's due for my class that ends next week, so I'll definitely have that up too. You just subscribe at the top left over here. You can watch my Elder Scrolls Online PvP videos that I have my guild that's directly below that, and then feel free to like and follow my Facebook and Twitter on the right over here. And also, I just like to give a shout out to Death FX. They did the intro for me at the beginning of this video, and if you go and check out his link, I'll have it in the description. He does a lot of intros and stuff, and they look really fantastic. So just go ahead and head over, check those out, and as always, enjoy and keep on